Well, it's all about the politics today, isn't it? Who is going to be our new Prime Minister in a week's time, or possibly even as soon as Monday? The race is on, but we don't actually have any declared candidates yet. Let's see how you're feeling about this and listening to Nicky Campbell's call in on 5 Live.
Nicky Campbell on BBC 5 Live. We're also joined for a few moments by the news channel as well, and on BBC 2 on our basic question, which is garnering the most extraordinary response this morning. This is a man who makes Marmite look like take it or leave it. Extraordinary divisive figure, but those who love him to the moon and back. People are getting in touch with us, and the question basically is, to put it in the informal vernacular, Bojo or no? No, absolutely no. Remember his sign-off at PMQs? Hasta la vista, baby. Was that a threat? Was it a promise? Or was it a pledge? Will this be the last Boris Johnson debate or one of many more stretching into the phone-in future? The Conservative WhatsApp groups will be a cacophony of pinging this morning. We've had Andrew Bridgen on, the MP, this morning, who says this is a very real possibility. He's not a Boris Johnson fan, but he reckons he's got the numbers. We just had Scott Benton, another Boris Johnson supporter, on saying, yes, he's going to get there and he's going to do it. Maybe he has a head of steam. It's all caveated by the fact that he may not stand at all. But as things stand, he may well stand. We've got Carol in Cambridge as well, and Scott in Nottingham, and Stefan in Stoke. Morning, Stefan. Morning, Scott. Morning, Carol.
Morning.
You join an elite but very big group of listeners this morning who want to get in touch on this one. Carol, lots of people are coming on saying, bring him back, bring it on. What do you say?
I can't believe what I'm listening to this morning. Yeah, I went to bed last night thinking this is just, flying a kite. And this morning I wake up and find that half the population has been lobotomised while I was sleeping. It's like, honestly, it's like the film The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, what overnight all these pubs have appeared in people's gardens. I just can't believe it. People, they've either been lobotomised or, there's been an outbreak of something.
Carol, the invasion of the body snatchers, of course, the strange force came from outer space, and they took over their bodies, and they looked like they used to look like. And to all intents and purposes, their appearance was similar, but they've been taken over by some strange force which made them kind of, as you say, kind of zombified. Do you believe that has happened to these people? Believers have always been believers, haven't they?
Yeah, I understand that, but all this is the Tories protecting themselves, because they know if there is a general election, they're just going to be obliterated. And the likes of Rees-Mogg and that gentleman from Blackpool and the other
Scott
Tory,
Benton.
Yeah, and the other Tory from Grantham, they don't actually care about what ordinary people want. They only want to keep their jobs. And that is the bottom line. That's why they don't want a general election, and they want Mr. Johnson back. I refuse to give him a first-name term. They want Mr. Johnson back because they see it as an election-winning thing.
Well, exactly. Stefan in Stoke. Hang on a wee second. Jacob Rees-Mogg, by the way, has come out for Boris Johnson today.
Oh, I know. Shock, surprise, no.
What? Stefan, how you doing?
Not too bad, thanks. Yourself?
I'm fine. Yeah, it's really interesting, this. From the off, the believers were believing, and the haters were hating.
The personality cult of Johnson, yeah.
What do you reckon?
Let's call it as it is.
Go on.
A party who are absolutely fearful of U-turns, who will kill off a Prime Minister for making too many of them, as was just said 10 minutes ago, making the biggest U-turn they could ever make in this entire Premiership. Mm-hmm. They know that if anyone is able to save them from a P45 at the next general election, it's Boris Johnson. So, slightly watered down from what I said to the researcher, but stuff integrity, stuff morality. We need to hold on to our jobs, so we'll get this guy in, and hopefully he'll produce a rabbit out of the hat. And we'll just have to swallow our pride, swallow any sense of integrity. But of course, there's the looming issue of this standards committee, or whatever, the integrity committee.
That is a problem, but the bottom line...
But they haven't got any pride. That is the issue. They don't have any.
The thing is, though, they want stability, or so they claim. But what happens when he been found to have lied to Parliament? The whole can of worms reopens, and what are they going to do then?
But let me just take you back to what you said a few moments ago. You said they know that he is their only chance. So you acknowledge objectively, and I don't sense that you're maybe a lifelong Tory, but you acknowledge that
Never voted for them in my life.
This is my political antennae. It's absolutely perfect. So do you think, though, that realistically he could be a winner again? He could have that magic dust.
Tragically, yeah, I do, and I think if he passes through the internal parliamentary party vote, yeah, I think there's a very, very high likelihood that he will get through.
If he gets to the dance-off, yeah. Colin, what do you think about what you're hearing? We've heard from Carol, we've heard from Stefan, and Colin is in Sunderland. I was in Sunderland the other day. BBC did loads of stuff from there about the cost of living crisis. Colin.
Hey,
Colin,
Boris,
Colin.
On Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, I recognise you. You were there in the audience. Nice to see you again.
I never got a chance to speak because there wasn't a subject I could really speak on.
Your time has come.
I'm a local landlord. But for me, this morning when it was back to a leadership contest, I thought, oh, no, not again. And then it was Boris is going to enter the race. Boris might fly back from the Caribbean. I've actually been quite euphoric this morning, thinking that could get Boris back. I mean, it's a bit like, getting tickets for Mickey Flanagan concert, if you like. I just think that he's charismatic. He's a fantastic speaker. When the Queen died, if Boris is still new Prime Minister, he would have just said the right words at the right time. And Liz Truss just sat there like a wooden doll. I mean, Keir Starmer now scents blood. And whenever I see him, he looks to me, he's still got the coat hanger in his jacket. And this morning, somebody's asking him pointedly, what would you give the nurses as a pay rise? Would you give them 10, 15%? Well, that would be up to the committee that decides all these things. I mean, these front benches go on a picket line. It would be a disaster to have a Labour government just now. And we've got 2 years to an election.
Oh, my God.
We've got 2 years to an election. Boris, he had an 80-seat majority. And, for 3 years, we've had really low interest rates. We had a steady guy at the helm of the Chancellor with Rishi Sunak. Interest rates were really low. We had the lowest unemployment we've ever had. I mean, yesterday I was watching all the broadcasts from Sunderland, and there is almost zero youth unemployment in Sunderland. And we are one of the most deprived areas in the country.
Contracts?
Everybody does zero-hour contracts.
So Boris Johnson was responsible for all that. Listen, okay, but without getting into the long.
The reason interest rates were so low, it wasn't down to a Tory government. It was down to Gordon Brown, actually.
Yes, it
was, and that was the reason why. And why Treasury receipts at the lowest ever when we've got the highest employment. That's because people are paid pennies and they don't earn enough to pay tax.
Colin.
There's no unemployment. There's 2.5 or 3 million people.
Okay, let's wait a minute, everyone. Quiet for one moment. Quiet, everybody. Quiet for. No, hey, Colin.
Yes,
quiet for what? No, it's fine. You said that you're so happy about this. You feel like you've got a ticket to see Mickey Flanagan. That was a wonderfully idiosyncratic way of describing your political delight at the prospect.
Yeah, well, he backs a joke, so he may as well enjoy one.
Boris,
let me ask you this: do you think
one of them Yogi Bear dogs? He goes down and he
bring Yogi Bear? Keep Yogi Bear out of this. Do you absolutely think, given all the scandals, given all the gates, given the list of transgressions and scandals that have, as many Tory MPs though brought the Tories into disrepute, you seriously think that matters not a jot now, and he is reburnished and he rides back into town and saves the day? Seriously, Colin?
Totally. I watched all of the Partygate things. I mean, the man, he lives in a house with 100 other people, and they're all employees. They sit together all day, and then they decide to have a beer and a curry or a piece of cake at the end of the day. They've been working together all day. They're in a bubble. And then he kind of walks in, and he gets done £100, and he didn't even have a drink.
Let's take it to a Tory. Let's take it to. I think you might be one as well, though, Colin. Let's take it to Scott in Nottingham.
No, I'm not. I've joined the Greens.
Scott in Nottingham. Hello, Scott.
Good morning, Nicky. How are you?
Fine. Yeah.
Please don't describe me as a Tory. I've voted for them, but I'm not a Conservative.
Okay, but you are a potential Conservative because you have a political history of being just that. So what would you do if Boris Johnson were to be reinstalled?
Oh, I'll never vote for them again. I mean, I don't intend on voting for... I've voted for them every election since '97 when I abstained, and that was the first election I could vote in. I've no intention of voting for them next election, which hopefully will be in about a month, but we all know it won't be. But if they get him back, there is no way I'll vote for them again.
What is it about Boris Johnson that repels you so much politically?
He's odious.
Thank you for speaking for me, but as it turns out, I agree completely. No, that's fine. It's the constant lying. Lying to the public is bad enough, but lying to Parliament is, well, illegal, really. And also, I can't forgive him for the amount of lives lost amongst old people at the beginning of COVID, when all the old people were in hospitals and his policy sent them all back into old folks' homes to infect more people.
I think it's fine. That was Matt Hancock.
Okay, who does Matt Hancock work for and take orders from?
It's like saying Boris Johnson's responsible for what Rishi Sunak does. He was the Chancellor, and Boris is like a father, the boss, and he delegates. I mean, Richard Branson lives in the Virgin Islands, but he has dozens of successful company because he employs really good managers, and that's what Boris did.
You just can't.
Every single call, every single call that has come on this morning has, by its own momentum, lit up the switchboard. The text console has been crazy. Goodbye to TV viewers just now within the UK and around the world. Thank you for joining us for a few moments and getting a flavour of it all.
Nicky, Campbell there, thanks very much.